One of these frogs is smaller than a paperclip, and it carries enough poison to kill 10 grown men. It's not the biggest one here, it's not even the electric blue one you're looking at right now. We'll get to it. Because here's the thing about every frog on this list. They're beautiful, almost impossibly beautiful. And every single one of them is built to kill. So stick around. The frog I just teased is waiting at the very end, and the deeper we go, the deadlier it gets. To understand how something this small can be, this dangerous, we start with the one wearing the loudest warning in the whole rainforest. It sits in plain sight on a wet leaf, doing nothing to hide. A frog the color of a summer sky, dotted in black, and shorter than your thumb. Most animals this small spend their whole lives running. This one doesn't bother, because that blue isn't decoration. It's a threat. In the wild, bright color usually means one thing. Don't eat me or you'll regret it. Scientists call it aposematism, a living warning label. And the blue poison dart frog wears it better than almost anything else in the rainforest. Its skin holds toxins strong enough to leave a predator's mouth numb, then leave its heart stumbling. The frog draws that poison from the ants and tiny insects it eats. Take away the diet, and the weapon fades. But out here, in the forests of the Guyana Shield, the buffet never closes. So while everything else hides in the shadows, this little frog hunts in broad daylight, strolling across the forest floor like it owns the place. It kind of does. Small, brilliant, and impossible to ignore. That one flaunts its poison to scare you off. This next one hides something almost tender. Picture a frog the color of a ripe strawberry. Fittingly, the strawberry poison frog. And no bigger than your thumbnail. It's toxic, like the rest, but it earns its spot for something none of the others can do. Watch what happens after her eggs hatch. A single tadpole wriggles on the forest floor, helpless. The mother crouches low, lets it squirm onto her back, and then she climbs. Up a tree trunk, sometimes several feet, carrying her baby to a tiny pool of water cupped inside a plant. One tadpole, one pool. And she does this for every last one of them. But those pools are empty. No food up there. So she comes back. Again and again, for weeks, she returns to each hidden nursery and feeds her tadpole the only thing that will keep it alive, her own unfertilized eggs. For 6 to 8 weeks, a frog the size of a coin runs a daycare scattered across the treetops. Poison in her skin, patience in her bones, tiny, toxic, and fiercely devoted. So if that frog never leaves her babies, what about one that left an entire continent? The green and black poison frog was born in the forests of Central America. But in 1932, people carried a batch of them across the Pacific to a Hawaiian island, hoping the frogs would eat troublesome bugs. The frogs ate. The frogs stayed. Nearly 100 years later, they're still there. The only poison dart frog on Earth to make a home on land it was never from. Marbled in green and black like living camouflage, it's a touch bigger than a bottle cap, and far tougher than it looks. Ants, termites, flies. It snaps up whatever the forest floor offers and turns that diet into a mild toxin beneath its skin. Here, it's the fathers who stand guard. A male watches over the eggs, then ferries each newly hatched tadpole on his back to water, one careful trip at a time. It didn't win new ground with strength. It won by simply refusing to disappear. Adaptable, resilient, and quietly unstoppable. That one crossed an ocean to survive. This next one barely leaves the forest floor, and yet it towers over almost every frog we've met. By poison frog standards, the dying poison frog is a giant. Around 2 inches long, with the largest stretching past your longest finger. Enormous for an animal most people picture as thumbnail-sized. Splashed in deep black and molten yellow, it prowls the fallen logs of the Amazon's Guyana shield, hunting ants and small spiders. But the strangest part isn't the frog. It's the story attached to it. An old legend says indigenous tribes would pluck the feathers from a young parrot, rub the frog's skin against the bare patch, and watch new feathers grow back bright red or yellow instead of green. Feathers prized for ceremonial headdresses. That tale gave the frog its name. Whether it ever really worked, no one has proven, but the name stuck for centuries. Real or myth, this frog earned its legend the hard way, by being impossible to forget. Big, bold, and wrapped in legend. That last frog's poison inspired a legend. This next one's poison did something no legend ever could. It walked into a laboratory and changed medicine. For years, scientists kept studying a small brown frog, striped with thin cream lines, tucked into the mountain slopes of Ecuador. Like the others, it pulls its toxins from the insects it eats. But hidden in its skin was a molecule no one had ever seen. They called it epibatidine. The frog behind it? The phantasmal poison frog. Here's why that mattered. In the lab, epibatidine turned out to be a painkiller around 200 times stronger than morphine. 200 times. Picture the most powerful pain medicine in a hospital, and then something from a frog no longer than a matchstick, leaving it in the dust. For a moment, it looked like a miracle. A natural way to kill pain that works nothing like opioids. But there was a catch. The dose that heals sits terrifyingly close to the dose that kills. Almost nothing separates the medicine from the poison. So this exact molecule never reached your pharmacy shelf. Instead, it sent scientists chasing safer versions inspired by it for years. Sit with that for a second. The same chemistry that could stop a heart might one day stop your pain. If this is blowing your mind, hit that subscribe button. Because the frog waiting at number 8 is the deadliest animal on this entire list, and you will not want to miss it. Deadly, tiny, and strangely healing. Every frog you've met so far shares one secret. They don't make their poison, they borrow it, from the insects they swallow. This next one refuses to play by that rule. High in the alpine bogs of southeastern Australia lives the Corroboree frog, striped in black and vivid yellow like a tiny wasp. And unlike almost every poison frog on Earth, it doesn't wait for its food to arm it. It builds its own toxin from scratch inside its body. A chemist in frog form. It's small, slow, and patient. A sit-and-wait hunter, picking ants and termites out of the leaf litter. By rights, it should have these mountains to itself. But it doesn't, because a killer showed up that no poison can stop. A deadly fungus tore through Australia's frogs in the 1980s, and the Corroboree was hit brutally. Its numbers have collapsed by more than 99%. Today, in the wild, there may be only around 50 of them left. 50 for an entire species. Right now, keepers are breeding and releasing thousands of eggs just to keep it from vanishing. This frog outlasted everything nature threw at it, and it might still lose to something too small to see. Rare, defiant, and running out of time. That frog is slipping away. But the last two on this list are the two deadliest that have ever lived. And we're standing right at the doorstep. Meet the runner-up. The black-legged poison frog looks like it pulled on a pair of dark stockings. A golden-yellow body sinking into deep black legs. At a glance, people confuse it with the frog waiting at the very end. That mistake could kill them, because this is the second most toxic frog on the planet. Its skin carries batrachotoxin, the same nerve poison that jams your muscles and can freeze a heart mid-beat. One frog holds far less than the champion. But less here still means more than enough to end a life. This was one of the frogs hunters used to tip their blowgun darts, dragging the point across its back before sending it into the trees to bring down prey. It spends its days near the streams of Colombia's Choco, small and bright and completely unbothered, second only, but never harmless. If the runner-up can kill you, you are not ready for the one that beat it. This is the frog I promised you at the very start. Gold from nose to toe, glossy like it was dipped in wet paint. And here's the detail that should freeze you in place. It's only about the length of a paperclip, 4 to 6 centimeters. That's it. And it is the single most poisonous animal on land anywhere in the world. One golden poison frog carries roughly 1 milligram of toxin, a speck, a crumb you could lose on your fingertip, and it's enough to kill about 10 grown adults. Not by biting, not by chasing, just by being touched. The poison slips through the smallest cut or scrape, and once it's in, it locks your nerves wide open and stops your heart cold. The indigenous Embera people understood this perfectly. They never had to harm the frog. They simply brushed their dart tips along its back while it was still alive, and that was enough to arm an entire hunt. Here's the twist. The frog isn't born deadly. All that poison comes from the wild insects it eats. Raise one far from that diet, and the terror fades to something you could hold in your palm. Small, golden, and the deadliest of them all. So there it is. The frog I dangled in front of you at the very start. Smaller than a paperclip, deadly enough to drop 10 grown men. And no, not the biggest one on this list. Not the electric blue one you were staring at. Just a quiet scrap of gold sitting on a leaf, holding more raw lethality than a snake, a spider, or a shark, 20 times its size. So, which one stuck with you? Drop its number in the comments. I've got a feeling a lot of you are going with number 8, but prove me wrong. And if the frog you were sure would show up never did, tell me which one I missed. I read every single comment, because nature never promised to play fair. It just hid its deadliest secrets inside the most beautiful colors it could find. See you in the next one.